Hello, fellow pirates, and welcome to this week's episode of This Is My Captain. This week's leader is Starter Deck 3's Crocodile. He's a blue 5k leader with the effect of Dawn -4, return up to one character with a cost of 5 or less to the owner's hand. The effect is good in certain situations, like I primarily used it when I was going for game and my opponent had like one or two blockers, or to stop my opponent from being able to go back and beat me next turn. As for the deck list, I did play two variants this week. The first is a Baroque Works list with a bunch of events, trying to play more control heavy. And honestly, it was not good. The Baroque Works card just aren't strong enough against today's meta with, it just wasn't strong enough. The second list, however, I did was a 7 Warlords version, and the second list I opted to use two 10-cost Kaidos, two 9-cost Mihawks, and then one copy of the 6-cost Boa Hancock. I primarily did it this way because I wanted good bosses that I could have at least one copy in the mid game, and then for the end game, I wanted at least one of them to be searchable that had a impact. So the 9-cost Mihawk being a 7 Warlords was very up there for me. The 10-cost Kaido is necessary though, because if you go against other blue decks or go against control heavy decks, you really need to be able to see those cards, otherwise you'll run out of gas real fast with cards like Jinbei playing 2 cards out of your hand in one turn. So, I just felt that the deck overall was good, but you can definitely tell that it's one of the beginning leaders. Didn't really have what a lot of the other blue leaders can bring to the table, and was relying heavily on the 7 Warlords package, along with things like Raging Tiger and Red Rock. The win rate that I had of this week was 5 wins and 10 losses. For some reason, I ended up playing against a lot of Blackbeard and Dofi. It was crazy. It was like every other game was either Blackbeard, Dofi, and then every now and again I would get something like Red Purple, Luffy. I got a couple of Reijus in there. But for today's showcase games, it will be one against Dofi, one against Blackbeard, and then one against Red Purple Luffy. So, as always, please like, follow, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy the games. Alright, so game 1, we are against Blue Dofi, and I do take a minute to decide to mulligan that hand. We do have a Sengoku Searcher, and we did choose to go second to try to keep them off of their 4 Dawn Jinbei turn. And by also having one Raging Tiger in our opening hand, that is huge in this matchup. Being able to get rid of 2 of their bodies right away is very, very good. The other card that we would be looking to see is our 10-cost Kaido near the mid to end game. We would like to see at least one of them in this matchup, so that way then we would just constantly keep a hand advantage. So we do start off with the Sengoku here, and we have some good choices. We could choose the Weevil or the Boa Hancock. The Weevil would draw us a card. The Boa would be able to stack the top of our deck, so that way then we know what we'd be getting for the next couple of turns. We do end up deciding to take the Boa here, because being able to know what we're going to be drawing for the next couple of turns, I feel, is a little bit more powerful than just getting one extra card, especially this early. They do get real good here, and they do get a 4-cost Jinbei, and they get it into the 4-cost Bounce Law, so that way then they can put the Perona back into their hand so they can use it again later. We do just decide to take there. There's no reason to give them 2 cards this early. We're both 5 life leaders, so from here we do just decide swing 5, and we do that into their Jinbei. That way then it would get at least one card out of their hand if they don't want to get rid of it. So it does get that Perona out of their hand. We play one Jinbei and we go into Boa. It is a bit of a little misplay here because if we would have just played the Jinbei and Boa in the beginning, then we would have been able to swing for 6k into their Jinbei. But I was debating if I wanted to play the Mihawk with Jinbei first or if I wanted to play Boa with Jinbei. So after that, we do pass. I will say sorry in advance, this opponent was playing a little bit slower too than what I usually see. They do start off with a Sengoku Searcher. And they do draw the Edward Weevil. Then they start off with another 1-cost Perona to stack their deck, and they have 3 Dawn left up, so it's pretty evident that they're just going to attach 2 and get a 4-cost off the top of their deck. Hopefully it's not another Trafalgar Law, otherwise they'd be able to bounce either the Sengoku or the Perona back up. And while they're stacking the top cards of their deck, I'm just thinking, okay, so I did draw that Gecko. What cards am I wanting to discard? Because I really don't want to take this life. They do get a 4-cost Mihawk off the top. So here, I just decide to take it. I do get the Perfume Femur, which is also really good in this matchup. And then now we're on 6 Dawn for this turn. So we're 1 off of being able to Raging Tiger, and we're pretty sure that that's what we're going to do next turn. So I'm just thinking this turn's most likely going to be Jinbei with Mihawk, so I just swing my Jinbei into their Mihawk right now. That does leave me 2 Dawn to still play with. So I just decide attach 2. I already got 1 card out of their hand. I'll swing 7, see if they give me another. Nope, they just let it go. So then I play another Jinbei, and I play that into the Mihawk. And now next turn, I have a 6k and 3 5ks. They can swing into the Jinbei that I attacked with last turn, but I have a high chance of being able to counter out of it, being 3 cards ahead of them. They do play a Jinbei this turn, and then they play that Weevil that they had searched last turn and drew a card. And they do still have 3 Dawn left up, so they know off of the Perona what the very last card on, or no, they just drew it. So yeah, they play the 1-cost Sengoku. They drew into another of the 2k Mihawk. And then right now we're just trying to think about how we want to counter out, how do we want to use this Boa to the most. They play another Sengoku, they get another Jinbei. So both me and my opponent are seeing all of our Jinbeis this game. They attach 1 to Dofi, and they swing into our Jinbei. From here, we just decide no blocks. We'll just counter out with a 2k Law. That way, they can't just freely keep swinging in. We'll at least be able to have a free block with the Boa. And it's not like they can kill the Boa this turn either. So we do block with the Boa there. And they just pass, because they don't want to lose 2 of their characters on my turn, because that's definitely what I would do, is I would just swing into both of those, make them either give up their entire hand, or they're giving me both of those characters. So this turn we start with a swing of 5 into their Law. They give us a Pudding as counter. We swing another 5 into their Law. See if we can get another card. Nope, they just give it to us. So then we're going to attach one to Mihawk, swing, just to see a couple more cards, see exactly what we can draw into. That is one of the downsides of Crocodile, is we don't have a amazing leader effect like Dofi does. Being able to get a free 4 cost off the top of our deck every turn is huge, and we just don't have that. So now we still have enough Dawn left up, so we swing 5 into their leader. They just take it. They're down to 3 already. So now we just Raging Tiger. We put away the Weevil and one of the Jinbeis. And now it is completely in our favor as far as the tempo of this game. They're left with only a Sengoku and a Jinbei. So they start off with a Perona to fix the top cards of their deck. They do choose to put it on top, meaning there's a high chance that they're going to be using leader effect this turn. So they do go Jinbei into Gecko as their follow-up. For the most part, I'm not really afraid of what they can get out of the trash other than that 4 cost bounce law, which they do end up deciding to grab that. I feel like in these type of blue mirror matches, that 4 cost law is pretty good. They then attach 2 to their lead, swing in. They are using leader effect, and they do get a Weevil off the top, and they put it over their Sengoku. So here I'm just thinking, do I want to use Boa right now? Because it's, and I do, because there's no real worry that they're going to be able to kill my Boa this turn. They're definitely going to try to still kill the Mihawk, because in this matchup, being able to draw 2, even if you have to discard 2 after, is just so huge. You're being able to see 2 extra cards a turn. We do draw a 10 cost Kaido here, which is fantastic. So right now we're even on cards in hand, and both of our boards are pretty much the same. We both have one 6K, and then we have a couple 5Ks and one 2K. So I swing the 5 Jinbei. They give me a 1K counter. I swing another 5 into their Jinbei. I'm just trying to get as much counter out of their hand as possible right now. Keep them at low resources all the time, and make sure that I'm dealing with their board as much as possible. So they do decide to just give up that Jinbei. So then we're just going to swing 5 with Mihawk. And then we'll swing another 5 with our leader. Again, just trying to get rid of their resources. And then I'm thinking here if I want to go aggressive. And I do decide to go aggressive with this Boa. I swing it into the Weevil. They give me more counter, and then I play this Kaido, draw 4 cards. I drew into a Red Rock, I drew into a Raging Tiger. I pretty much have all of the answers that I need. The only bad thing about my hand right now is that I'm pretty low on counter. I only have a total of 4K counter, and that's in 3 cards right now. So they attach 2, and they decide if they want to swing, so they keep thinking about it. They end up swinging 9 into one of our Jinbeis. We just give it to them. There's no reason. We don't even have enough counter to get out of that. They do get a 4 cost Mihawk off of that for their leader effect. They then attach some Dawn to their Weevil. So right here, I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, okay, so they're most likely going to be going towards trying to clear my board like what I've been doing. They see how effective it is, but at the same time, unless they find a red rock, they're never getting rid of this Kaido. That's the one major advantage I have right now. So they swing 8 into my Mihawk. I just give it to them. There's no reason to use all of my counter to be able to protect that. They then swing 7 into Jinbei. This one I do decide to counter out of. It still leaves me 1 Gecko left in hand. And then they swing 6 into Jinbei. And can't counter out of that one now. But I still have a 6k blocker Boa, and I still have a 12k Kaido. And then off the top, I draw into my second Kaido, and that is huge. But here, I'm just thinking, is there a way that I can go for game? They're down to 3 cards in hand. So I can attach 3 to Boa, be able to swing 9. And then I can attach 4, swing another 9 with Crocodile, or I can attach a total of 6 to be able to fully commit. But here, I made sure that I only attach 3 and I swing with Boa first, because if they did have enough counter, which they did, I still have the Raging Tiger to be able to remove their 2 major threats. I do take both of their remaining life, and now they're at 0. I Raging Tiger 2 of their threats away, and I'm thinking, okay, so do I want to use my leader effect? I decide to, because they do have 3 characters on the board and their leader, so there is a world where they could kill me, especially with me only have 1k counter in my hand. So I do decide to use the leader effect there. It does end up saving me the game. So on their turn, they do start off with a 2-cost Teach. And they put one of their cards in hand on top of their deck to be able to get that 2 Dawn back. So we know that they're going to be getting a decent hit off the top of their deck. And from here, I'm just thinking, I'm like, if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't really want to put a Jinbei on top, solely because that'd be 2 cards out of my hand already. There's no way that I can counter out of that at this point. And in their shoes, they really need to either throw down a blocker, or they need to just go for game. But they don't really have a means of going for game. And even if they were to try to clear my board, there's just nothing that they can do to stop me from just beating them next turn. So here they go 8 into my Boa. I just give it to them. I don't have enough counter to counter out. They swing 11. And I think they thought that they were swinging for 12 there, but they were just 1 Dawn off, and then they end up conceding. Alright, time for game number 2. This time we're against Blackbeard, and this matchup, I'm lucky that my opponent doesn't really know that I'm on the 7 Warlords package like they would if I were playing like Dofi. So they don't really know when to use leader effect and when not to. So they do end up playing a Don Q on their first turn. We do get first, and we just swing 8 on our first attack turn. We have a decent hand. The Raging Tiger's good in this matchup, being able to get rid of a Doc Q and a Van Augur. That's really good. And the Red Rock is amazing for this matchup. Being able to get rid of one of their 10 cost Teaches in the late game means it's one less turn that they're going to have of them being able to just completely stop us. So their turn, they do decide to play down the stage and then play down the Lafitte. They drew a Jesus Burgess off of the Lafitte. And then we're on 5 Dawn right now, so we just swing 6 into their Lafitte. And then we just decide we're going to play out the Weevil. We'll get the free draw. That way then we at least get one of the effects right now. And now our opponent knows that, we're on 7 Warlords. It would have been amazing if that turn we had a Jinbei. That would have been so huge. Jinbei, Weevil, with them not turning off our on plays. So they do have the combo here of Van Augur with Q. And they swing 6 into us. So we just give them a 2K. There's no reason to take that life right now. We are a little bit worried about the end game in this matchup. So here we're on 7 Dawn. And I'm just thinking, like, I can keep going aggressive, which is what I want to do. So we swing 8 into the Van Augur. They do draw a card. And then we just play out the Boa. So they are starting to use a leader effect as well. That's why we weren't able to get Boa's effect that turn. And now they're on their 8 Dawn turn. So they discard a Liberation with their stage and draw into another Burgess. And that's what I'm primarily holding my Raging Tiger for, above all else, is as soon as they play down 2 Burgess, I'm going to hit them with that Tiger. I'm get rid of their win conditions as much as possible. They do have another Van Augur with a Q. They pop my Boa. They swing another 6. In here, we're just going another 2K. And then they also play out a Vasco Shot. So now they have a blocker as well. And then they decide to use their leader effect again. They discard another Liberation. So now that's 2 less Liberations that we have to worry about. And now we're on our 9 Dawn turn. So we're not going to get any on plays. But I'm just thinking here, I'm like, so I could go for this Van Augur again. They're going to use the Vasco Shot to be able to protect it. So the other play that I could do is I could play 3 bodies this turn. And I decide, let's just stay aggressive. We'll go 5K with lead. They take it. They're down to 3 life now. So then we just play Boa, we play Law, and then we play Sengoku. Now we have 3 bodies on the field. So even with their combo of Van Augur and Q, they're only going to be able to remove 1. And luckily this is during OP9, so they don't have the 6 cost event. They do remove our blocker Boa with their combo. And then they attach 1, they swing another 6. Unfortunately, we don't have enough counter, so we're just forced to take it. We do get another 4 cost Law off the top. They play the 1 cost Searcher, they draw into a Stronger, they play out 2 Burgess, and they use they use their stage first, and they draw into a 3rd Burgess. But they end up discarding that Burgess for leader effect. So that's 1 less Burgess that we have to worry about this game. So then from here, we know that we're going to do Raging Tiger. So we're just going to swing 6 into the Van Augur. So they're either going to give me the Vasco Shot, they're going to give me the Van Augur, or they're going to give me a counter. So no matter what, they're giving me something here. So then I just attach another one, to Law, swing again, they give me the shot, and then I swing with 3k into their queue, get rid of that, and now Raging Tiger time, get rid of both of their Jesus Burgess. They're at 4 cards in hand, they got a Van Augur, but now the major threats that they had completely wiped off the game. So now I feel a little bit more at ease. So here they use Stage, they discard another Vasco shot, and they find the queue again. And I'm just like, ugh. Because now they have the combo all over again. So now they swing into the Sengoku. I just give it to them. And they're at 10 Dawn as well. So there's a chance here that they're probably debating about if they just want to play out the 10 cost Teach, try to get even more tempo. But they play the queue, they get rid of our Law, and then they use Leader Effect. So they're down to 2 cards in hand. I'm pretty sure that they at least have 1 Teach. And here we just attach 2, we swing into their Van Augur. We know that pretty much they could have a 2k, but if they do, that's 1 less turn that we have to worry about. And that leaves us 8 Dawn. So we just play 2 4 bodies again. And we just pass. So with 4 cards in hand, I'm pretty sure that at this point they have to have a 10 cost Teach. It's just when are they going to play that Teach? That's kind of the big guessing game, is when are they going to play it. Luckily we have the answer in our hand of that Red Rock. So they do use Stage, they find a 2k, and then they finally play the first 10 cost Teach. They stop one of our Laws, and then they swing 5. So here we just take, there's no point in using up 2 cards or using a counter in my hand for it. And then we just use Red Rock here. We put that on the bottom. And then we just swing 5 into their lead, see if they're going to give me another card out of their hand. They do. They gave me that Shiryu that they searched out. And then we swing another 5. And we just play out our Boa blocker. We're trying to make it so that within every turn we're making another card on the field, just constantly progressing our board. They use their Stage during their turn, discarding another copy of the Stage. In here, I don't know exactly what they're searching for. They do end up finding another 2k, so we know that they at least have some counter left in hand. And then they play their second Teach. So luckily we're wide enough that we can still be able to just be really aggressive here. We do decide to counter out, give them a Jinbei. And they do use Leader Effect again. So in their hand right now, we know that all there is a Shiryu. They have 1 2k, that's it. So we know that they can block one of our attacks, so there's no way that we can go for lethal here. So we do attach 1. We swing for 5 with 1 Law. We swing for 5 again. And then we're just thinking here. So I'm thinking, do I want to attach a whole bunch, try to make them give me that Teach? And that's what we decide to do. We swing 14, so they can either take and be down to 1, or be down to 0, which they do take. They get a finger pistol off the top, which gets rid of our blocker. So we just pass the turn here. And I'm not really scared of them going for lethal here because they can't really do it. We have a 2K and a 1K in our hand. So they swing 5 into our law. We decide to counter out of that. We want to try to keep at least 2 bodies on the field at all times, just in case they play another teach, which they end up doing. So now they stop 2 more attacks. They discard their 3rd liberation to their stage and drew a This Is My Age, and they discard that to leader effect, so they have 0 cards in hand. So I know that if I attach 7 Dawn to lead, I can guarantee to kill one of these teaches. And I don't really have anything else that I really want to do this turn, so I attach 9, swing the 14. They're having to give me one of those teaches, and then I just play out a Sengoku. That way then I have 3 bodies. And I didn't want to swing with the law that turn either, because there was no point in it, and I didn't want to give them something that they could freely take out. So here on their turn, they use stage, they discard the stronger, and they drew into another dock queue. So effectively, they gave up a 2K for a 1K. Pretty sure that they were looking to try to find another teach, try to keep them alive a little bit longer. So they swing 12 with their teach, we just take. They attach 7 to their dock queue. They're trying to go for lethal here. So we just discard our counter, and now it's guaranteed that they're not going to be able to beat us, and we're just going to win next turn. Because we can just attach all of our Dawn to our leader, and there you go. So that was game 2. All right. So for game 3, we're against Red Purple Luffy. So this matchup, it can be a little wishy-washy because they have a lot of endgame that is really, really strong, so we need to try to power them through early. So they do go first, and they swing for 9 on their first attack. So we just give up a life. No reason to counter out this early for something like that. That'd be 3 cards. We do play a blocker Boa, and we fix up the top of our life, and then we get that 1 free Dawn, so that way then we can still swing that turn. They get It's to Die For off the top of their life, which gives them a Dawn. It's the first time I ever saw one of the Luffy's actually playing that card, so I did a double take. So this turn they're swinging 6 with lead, and we just give them a 2K. We have double Gecko in our hand, so we can easily get a 2K back. They then play the 6-drop blocker Sanji, and this turn we're on 6 Dawn, so we just attach 2 to our lead, swing 7. We're trying to get them to give up cards from their hand, trying to lower the amount of counter, but they just take again, so we go, okay, play out Jinbei. Or first we're thinking, do we want to attack with Boa? And we do. Just in case they get something off the top if they decide to take that life too. But we just play Jinbei, play Weevil. We drew into the second Weevil. And then on their turn, they play out the Edward Newgate. Now they are a 8K lead swinging at us, and we just take it. But that Perfume Femur is real good. They do play a couple blockers and stuff like that, like the Sanji that you see on the field now. So having a way of getting around that to try to push for lethal is very big. So this turn we play out the 4-cost Law. That way then we can make them bottom deck a card in their hand since they're at 6. And they're just debating about what card do they want to bottom deck. We're not really going to be able to swing into them this turn since they are an 8K leader. So we're just trying to get as much value that we can as possible with the Dawn that we do have up. So that's why we did the 4-cost Law. So now that that's resolved, we do decide, do we want to play Weevil? Do we want to play Gecko? We play the Weevil, we draw another Law off the top, and then we just pass turn. So now we have 3 6K bodies, and then we have the Jinbei at 5K. So we have a lot of really good attacks, and that's one of the good upsides that we have playing the 7 Warlords package. Now, they do decide to play out the Uso Hachi since they're at 10, and they tap down our blocker. And then they swing 10K into it. I could guard out, but that's so many cards out of my hand. I only have one 2K, so I just give it to them. And we know that they're going to be swinging for 8 at least with their lead because they already attached 2, but now they're attaching some more, so they do end up swinging 10K at our lead. We're just looking, making sure. We decide to give it to them. We do get a red rock off the top. I decide not to use it here because it's really strong. I know that these Luffy players are starting to play cards like the 10-cost Shanks, so I would really like to be able to have that red rock solely for like cards like that. And now we're on 10 Dawn as well. So they have a blocker, they still have 5 cards in hand, and they still have a life. So it's very unrealistic that we'd be able to beat them this turn. But we do need to try to get rid of as many resources as possible. So we just swing 6 with 1 Weevil. See what they give me. They end up using Gum Gum Giant here, and they discarded a Roger. So we then swing another 6. And they do counter out with a Zoro Juro for that one. And then we attach 1 to Jinbei, swing another. And then we are left with 9. So I'm just counting my Dawn, trying to figure out how I want to do this. Because I could establish 2 bodies here, but that'd be a lot of counter out of my hand. So I just attach 3, swing 8. So this way, they give me a Radical Beam. And then I do end up using Red Rock just to get rid of their Newgate. That is a 10K swinger every turn, so. And there's the Shanks that I was afraid of. I was hoping that they didn't have it, but unfortunately they did. So this swings 6 into 4 on my Jinbei. They are down to 2 cards, though, so there's at least that as an upside. So I'm thinking here, do I want to discard? Because there is a world where I can go for lethal next turn as long as I have these bodies on the field. And if they're going to swing with the shanks, then I want to make them be able to only get rid of one. So I do end up countering out of it. They do end up swinging with the shanks into the Jinbei, so this time I give it to them. But now I have 2 5k Weevils now. So here I can just swing 8, and at this point they either take the life, they give me both of the cards in hand, or they give me their blocker Sanji. So they take the life, we swing, or we were going to swing here for another 8, and then we would have been able to swing for 9 with the next one, guaranteeing the lethal.